Well. Welcome in. Tis the Eric Zane Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here from the Impact Powersports studio. Impact Powersports, you head to that place, you buy stuff that makes you whip around on the trails. You know, ImpactPowersportsMI.com. I have a funny feeling that this mic is not agreeing with me today. That ought to do it. I don't know. What do I know? Yes, it is a Dear Meathead type of day. If you want to send a question along for Dear Meathead, send it to Eric at ericzaneshow.com. My beloved dad will be here answering your questions along with Joanne on Dear Meathead. All right, I swear to God, Kenny, I am not going to forget your question. I see it right there. Patrick has sent a question. Kenny has sent a question. We're both similar about New Year's. So if you have something that you want to ask my dad, send it along, Eric at ericzaneshow.com. He's always glad to hear from you and anticipating it, as always, as he always does. I talked to him yesterday, and the word on the street is that we are going to visit my dad. We're going across the state on Saturday, which is always just a glorious time. And I'm going to see two father figures. You've got Wally, my dearly departed mother's husband, and then you got my dad. Now, two very different scenarios. Wally lives in a it's not a nursing home. It's the type of place you go when you don't want to have all the responsibilities of home ownership, but you want the independence. They call it it's like apartment living with assistance. Is that a really nice place? And then it's awesome because they make the food for you and everything if you want. I mean, you got a full kitchen, or if you want, you can. See, Wally's a social butterfly. This man makes friends so easily. It's just incredible. So, upon moving into this place with my mother, he immediately was making friends. And that's pretty damn good. You got to have that. So at any given time, if you call him, typically he's playing Nintendo Wii Golf. That's a big hit at this place. And I think the games get pretty intense. I cannot confirm whether or not money is changing hands in the game. Maybe. But, if you give him a call when he's playing a round of golf, he's one of these fellows who, instead of letting it go to the voicemail because he's in the middle of the round of golf, he's going to pick it up. So he'll be on the green and you're like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, I'm in the middle of playing golf. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll call you back. He's like, all right, thanks. And I'm like, well, yeah, the phone's set up to take a message. No big deal. So we got a busy day coming up on Saturday. Drive over there, see Wally at the old folks' home. I just call it the old folks' home, whatever. And then we head on over to my dad's, entirely different. It's my dad's house. We'll see him. So, more time driving than actually visiting with people by a lot. But that's cool, wishing these folks a fantastic New Year late and a Merry Christmas. You can still do that, right? So if you want to reach out and leave a message, or I should say have a question for Dad, send it along on the Shoreliners Striping inbox. Eric at ericzaneshow.com. Rebecca is here. She says, yeah, easy. That's assisted living. Right. I knew that. Okay, make sure my guest. All right. We're going to have a guest on here in a little bit. Kenny says, ask him how much coffee is too much coffee. Yeah, I think Kenny has an issue where he kind of drinks too much and gets wired. Blue State Rob says, we need a Dear Wally segment. Wow, I never really considered that. I don't know. I think we've got the market covered. Ashley is here. She says, I always think of the villages and the STDs with the old people. Yeah, I don't know if that's the case where Wally lives, but I have heard about that where, sometimes these old timers, they get just as horny as the young timers. And my God, that would be me. Okay. My wife would be like, yeah, enough. I don't even, just get out. Go find someone new. Blue State Rob says that was a tongue-in-cheek Wally joke. Of course. I appreciate you, though. All right. So thanks for being here on this, the 3rd of January. Yesterday, I was at Van Andel Arena and putting on my best Ken Calvert voice to do PA for the Grand Rapids Gold. And it was a damn good crowd for a Tuesday night game. We got a game again tonight, and you need to come see us. The crowd was into it the whole game, despite various times of the game being down by 40 or more points. That's right, 40 or more points we were losing by. And we had won 5 in a row. That's never happened. I have never, in my time with this basketball team, have seen them win 5 in a row. It's just kind of for some reason, the success hasn't come as easily as one might hope. But that was not last night. 40 plus points at one point. My God. They had the other team is from Birmingham, Alabama. They had almost 50 points at the end of the first quarter, which if you average that out, if they maintained that pace, they would score nearly 200 points in the game. My God. As it turns out, I think they scored north of 140. It was really, really bizarre. We couldn't hit the side of a barn. It was really, really bad. But they'll go at it again. Blue State Rob says, they came for the shot clock counter. All right. By the way, tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow is the 5-year anniversary. My 5-year fire-versary from BBL. And this is an important one, probably as important as the firing from Free Beer and Hot Wings, which in February, that will be 8 years. Oh, God. The 5-year fire-verse. Whoops. What the hell? I think I just lost my mic. Hang on. Something's going on here. Check. Okay. For a second there, I thought my mic was gone. Yeah. So the 5-year fireversary from WBBL, which that was January 4, 2019. Part of me wants to just get into that timeline now since I brought it up. I think I will. Leading up to it is more ridiculous. I guess I could do it tomorrow too, but who gives a shit? Oh my God. This was this firing on January 4th, 2019. is what led directly to this podcast, because there was Friday, January 4th, and then Saturday, January 5th, and then the evening of Sunday, January 6th, 2019, is when I was in this room talking into a cell phone doing the first ever Eric Zane Show podcast titled A New Hope. Absolute pile of garbage show. But then I did it like the day after. That would be January 7th. And then and it wasn't any set time. It wasn't first thing in the morning back then. But about 2, 3, 4 days into it, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to try to do this every single day and do a daily podcast and actually earn a living doing it. I had zero idea really what I was going to do. But Big Dick Donnie Veltman was the first guy to come out of the woodwork and say, hey, EZ, I'll give you money and you talk about my comedy shows. Like, all right, that sounds good. Rick from TC Paintball quickly followed suit. Rick, to this day, is still a major player on the Eric Zane Show podcast with TC Paintball. God bless him. Big Dick Donnie went belly up in the comedy business right at about the same time that Michael Rappaport publicly threatened to kick his ass. Blue State Rob says, whatever happened to Big Dick Donnie? I don't know. Amanda says he sold the bowling alley up in Howard City. I do know that. Kenny says, well, check on Big Dick Donnie. I have numerous times. Big Dick Donnie divorced the world because he was in for 10 large to Rappaport. I don't know why the fuck he did that. I mean, I like Don. He's one of these guys that when the world came crashing down for whatever reason, he just decided that he wasn't going to talk to anyone on the planet. I don't even know what the fuck happened. I just reached out to say, hey, dude, you should probably pay Rappaport. At one time, I said, why don't you just send him like a couple $100 of the 10 large that you owe him and say, I'm working on it. At least that would be a good faith showing. I don't know what the fuck happened to Donnie. But I know that Rappaport wants to kick his ass. But holy shit. I might have to bust out that video later on of Rappaport threatening to beat up Don if he doesn't pay him. Tyler Kerr says, back when we had nighttime streams complete with Eric pounding Bush NAs. Yeah, that was so dumb. I drink these Bush NAs and then I'd have to pee like all night. Amanda says, want me to go? Hey! Want me to go knock on his door? Hey! No. Leave him alone. Blue State Rob says, it sounds like he's a little embarrassed. Maureen says, I have a brother-in-law who hates WBBL for firing you. He hasn't listened to that station since. I told him about your podcast. He knows Mike Ball, fellow Little Debbie guy. Yeah, the old BBL days. Ben and I were clueless. And I can't believe I was so naive. Leading up to my firing, I accidentally eavesdropped on a conversation between Tony Gates and Michelle McCormick. They didn't know that, and I found this out by accident, that each of these studios, you can push a button, the aux button, as it's known, and you can hear what's going. It's almost like a network. You can hear what's going on in another studio. And nobody knew this. And by the time I figured it out, so I figured it out, and then the reason why I was tipped off that they might be talking about Ben and I, their door on their studio was closed. Okay? And that is tipping me off that they're talking about me, because the door on their studio is never closed, ever. So that told me, they're talking about something that they don't want anybody to hear. So then I immediately went into the studio, pushed that button, and sure enough, they are talking about Ben and I. And they indicate that our time is up. And they're having a conversation about it. And I don't think Ben was there to witness this, but I sure was. And even though I had that information, which was probably a week before we got fired, for some reason, I convinced myself that Ben and I were not getting fired. And I don't know if that's the optimism in me or what, or I'm just thick-skulled. Probably that. But the only other piece of information that we had was that there was a big meeting on Friday, January 4th, the afternoon of Friday, January 4th. All staff meeting with a big announcement. Blue State Rob says you probably just blew it off as gossip. I know it happens in radio, probably happens everywhere. Yeah, I guess. This I did know. There was a big meeting, and Ben and I were convinced. We were convinced that they were going to make WBBL a rock station or something like that. And Ben and I were going to be the cornerstone. Ben and Eric Zane Show with Ben. Kicking ass and taking names on the Rocker 107.3. Well, some of that was true. Some of that was true. There was a format. BBL was, in fact, changing the format. But Ben and Eric would have nothing to do with it. At 8 a.m. that morning, I threw up. And I come back into the studio. It's Ben, and remember Sam Mills? She happened to be in there just hanging out, doing a couple segments with us. She was fun. She is fun. And I go, Ben, I think I'm sick. I'll see if it happens again. Sure enough, 15 minutes later, I vomited again. Walk back in the studio, go, dude, I have to go home. Please finish the show. No problem, EZ. Okay. I reached out to Lori Bennett, and I texted her. She was the boss. And I said, hey, I'm sick. I have to go home. I remember not receiving any word back from her, which was strange because she's always very, very aggressive and being like on top. Okay, you go home. She'll basically repeat everything that I'd already put in place. Oh yeah, you go home and have Ben and Sam do the show, and they'll do the promos, and then they'll sit in for a boring meeting with me, and blah 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 blah. She's always like way over the top, controlling. That's kind of like her moniker, her calling card. She got to have her fucking hands in everything. So I'm fucked up. I text her, hey, I'm sick. I'm going home. Waiting to hear back. The usual, like I just described. Nothing. Not a word. I go, well, that's weird. I wonder what the fuck is up. But at no point did I think, I'm getting fired. We are getting fired. It never occurred to me. Leave the radio station. Pull into my driveway. At the time, my son, my daughter-in-law, my now daughter-in-law, and my grandkids were living at home at my house. They were like, they hadn't gotten a place to live or some shit. I don't remember. And I remember thinking, boy, when you go in there, Eric, your wife and whoever is at the door is probably going to be like, hey, why are you home? Did you get fired? I remember thinking that. And I said, yeah, make sure you put him at ease right away that, hey, yeah, I'm sick. Don't come near me. Nothing bad happened. I remember thinking that exact thought, that they may think that I got fired. But at no point, again, am I concerned about my job. Walk into the house. That happens. Diana's still in bed because it's vacation, from hey, I'm sick. Oh, my God. Okay, I'll take care of you. Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. Kick off my shoes. Get in bed. I vomit a couple more times. Falling asleep. Getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And my phone buzzes. Ignore. Phone buzzes again. Bzz. And then bzz, bzz. Bzz, 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 bzz. Bzz, 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 bzz. It's going like, what the fuck is going on here? I grab it. It's a text from Sam Mills. Marcus Bradman just got fired. What? Oh, my God. Short time later, Ben just got fired, and they are looking for you. Uh-oh. Then I'm like, all right. Maybe they're trying to get a hold of me to tell me that they're going to call the radio station W. Eric Zane. I don't know. For some reason, I'm convinced that it's going to work out. Perpetually optimistic. I see that I have a message from the boss. Like, there's actually been a message left for me. And I'm like, uh-oh. And I play the voicemail, and it's the general manager at the time, a guy, I don't remember his name. Hey, Eric, heard you're sick. Sorry about that. I kind of need to talk to you right. Crystal and I need to talk to you right away. Now, Crystal is HR. Now, there's no reason why. Okay, so at this point, I'm like, that's it. I'm fucked. I'm now convinced I'm dead. Sure enough, I call back. Boss picks it up. And I go, hey. He goes, yeah, we need you to come in. I go, I can't. Just, I'm sick. Do what you got to do. It was like in The Sopranos when they shot Big Pussy. Not in the face. Yeah, we're changing format. We got to let you go. I go, okay. And that was it. I went on Facebook Live. I take it back. I tried to go on Facebook Live, and Lori Bennett had locked me out of my Facebook fan page. One that I had when I arrived at the radio station. That wasn't a WBBL thing. It was an Eric Zane thing. But for some reason, months earlier, I presume she knew what was up. She made me make her the admin. So I get fired, and she locks me out of my own fucking page. I call the boss back and go, hey, I need my Facebook page. She locked me out of my own page. She can't do that. That's my lifeline to the audience. I have to have my Facebook page. Oh, I'll see what I can do. And I know what that means. I had to go and get my lawyer to threaten them to make that happen. I was so pissed off about that. That put into motion my completely detesting Lori Bennett. Now, she was a pain in the ass to work for. Everybody hated her, but we got along well enough. She's my boss, you know? But once that happened, I was like, fuck you. This took significant time to finally get her to undo what she had done. Put me back in charge of mine and take herself off of it. And then no one said, hey, it's done. It's all set now. They just let me figure it out on my own, these fucking assholes. So that put in motion me being super pissed at the time. I then do a Facebook Live from my fucking bed saying, hey, I got fired. And Ben got fired and Marcus got fired. And then I said, Bill got fired and Brett got fired. But that was not true because Bill had been in deep discussion with whoever to stay on as part of the Michigan Sports Network. And he's still on BBL and fucking, I don't know. Bill knew, didn't tell me. That's very normal for radio. No one ever tips anybody off. Not that I would have believed it. I'm such a fucking idiot. Blue State Rob says, as of August 2023, Lori is in South Bend, Indiana. That's a market upgrade. Not. Yeah, South Bend's rough. Yeah, I think she's running a couple of radio stations there. Good luck to those people. So at that point, I post the Facebook video. And then I hear from Wood TV 8. They go, hey, we heard about what happened to you. Yeah. We know you're sick, but would you mind coming into the TV station? I go, no, this is the start of my always say yes. You know, I mean, it's not like I can do anything else. I'm lucky to have you even reach out to me in any way, shape, or form. So this is that moment.
On the West Michigan airwaves tonight, WBBL 107.3, the longtime sports station in West Michigan.
This is when I think I was at my gayest.
Now with some new programming. The change resulted in layoffs.
Watch the herky-jerky and the eye movement, and I'm wearing this really bright, super gay shirt.
Including some well-known voices. Joining us now in studio, one of those personalities, Eric Zane. Eric, thanks for coming in tonight.
The pleasure's mine. Thank you for having me.
Any inkling this was coming?
Look at that skinny fuck.
How did you find out?
This is a funny firing story, and I apologize because it's almost awkward that I'm smiling but I try not to let this stuff get me down these days, and I've been through it a lot, so if that's weird.
I actually look unhealthy there. I look like I just got liberated from Auschwitz.
I had to go home today early because I was sick. I had to get off of the air, and I had a couple of the other talents fill in the last hour. I went home, I was sleeping, and then my phone started to erupt and said, heads are rolling here and they're looking for yours. So that was it. And I was like, oh no, this is it. And I did not expect it. It was a big out of the blue thing. So it was very shocking.
So gay.
This has happened to you before, as
Yes.
you mentioned. and I was watching some of your stuff on social today, and even your wife was saying, get out of radio. Are you done with radio?
Well, I can't work in radio for extended time as the non-compete plays out.
Yeah, well, a 1-year non-compete. Can you believe that shit?
But I have really, as much as I love it, I can't really worry about it for an extended time. So I've got to do other things in order to feed my family. So I'm going to podcast right away. And I think that might be great for me. So I'm going to do that, and who knows what else.
You know, I've got to.
Now, I said that might be great for me. I had no fucking idea. Nor did I even think that at that point, did I ever consider this to be a daily thing. That took another week and a half before I ever even considered that.
Ask the question because a lot of viewers probably wonder, is there any chance of you reuniting with your old gang? Is do you rule that out?
Never. I would never rule that out.
I should have. I should have said, oh, fuck no. They're idiots.
We had the greatest years that have ever taken place in my life. It got off the rails, and I think a long conversation would have to take place because everybody's still hurt and angry about it. It never
Nothing's changed.
really did get fixed, and I've done things that have upset them, and they've
We'll continue to do things. My attitude is completely different. I'm almost like trying to somehow open the door, somehow pry open the door there. Fast forward to 2024. That door is slammed and nailed shut.
upset me, but I don't think they have the room, though, to be honest with you. I think they're more than
No, that's true. I guess they just hired a high schooler. They just added another person for 2024. They had 11. They needed 12 people with a microphone.
set with what they have.
I'm not even kidding you. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the guy they hired used to be Amanda's daughter's lover, I think.
But you never know. I never rule anything out.
I'm not kidding you. They hired a guy who is the son of another radio guy in town. You ever heard of that show, Tommy and Brooke? Is that still a thing? I think they're on Christian radio. Amanda says that this is Tommy's son and her daughter, Mariah, after hockey games, would have sex with this guy.
Yeah.
You've indicated you want to stay in West Michigan, and of course, you're still working with the Griffins. We'd love to see you at the games, of course. That doesn't change.
Griffins and the drive.
Okay.
In fact, the drive tomorrow night. So that has been, I've never gotten tired of that job. Either of them, they're so awesome, and I love them. So yes, I will be part of those.
Well, we apologize. We apologize for making you shave.
I'm glad I did it.
Did you see how gay that was?
Because my wife.
Look at that reaction.
They're so awesome.
Right here.
So yes, I will be part of those.
Right here.
Well, we apologize. We apologize for making you shave.
Oh, God. Fucking A. What
I'm
an
glad
asshole.
I did it because my wife just hated the beard. So, there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you were right.
Metaphor, beard, isn't that what they call it? Like, my wife is the beard for how gay I am here.
That holiday beard.
Yes. But
If I brought my gay daughter in here and I said, hey, does this guy look gay? She's like, oh, yeah, you're so gay, you queer.
EricZaneShow.com for everything now. If you want to bookmark it, because right now I'm selling T-shirts to survive, and that's where the podcast will be for now.
Okay. More to come. Eric
Yes.
Zane, good luck to you again. We're all kind of concerned for you, of course.
Thank
getting
you.
that
Thank
news.
you.
Yeah, he's saying that because 3 years, I don't know. Yeah, 3 years prior to that, I said I had entertained thoughts of killing myself.
But
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you brought that up because I was in a very dark spot 3 years ago, and I have gotten some mental health treatment, and I am okay. And thank God to the doctors and my family for their support. But I'm okay, and I know a lot of people are worried about that. So
yeah, you get knocked down, but you got back up.
that's exactly
There
right.
we go.
And we will
That's
continue
right.
to do that.
Yeah.
All right, good to hear.
Pull yourself. I said we will continue to do that. I meant to say I
Zane,
will
thanks for
continue
coming
to
in
do
tonight.
that
Thank you.
because it's just me, motherfucker.
Brand new from
Ah!
Proactive.
Oh, God, that was ridiculous. It's embarrassing. Let's see. Blue State Rob says that's when you could see the penis through the pants. That's right. I had a big wad of dick on those pants. Did you see that big dick wad? Good point. I should have gone back to that. Good luck, Zane. Don't end up in the gutter. You got a little stiff when he gave you a compliment. Garrick Zane was tickled that he noticed you shaved. Let's see. Patrick says this is awesome in hindsight. Thank you, Patrick. Blue State Rob says you look younger now. I look, like a prisoner of war. Corey says, I can understand if you quit having a non-compete, but how can they fire you and say you can't work for a year? Yeah, that's a typically what it's supposed to be is if you get fired, I think you would like agree to it when you sign up. It's really weird. I think if you challenge it, you can win, but no one ever does because the other competing company won't hire you if you have a non-compete. That's generally the way it is. I don't know. Kent described me as jolly Eric Zane. Linda says, how did you pull yourself together to do that? You're so very gay, Maureen says. This was your gayest that was not topped until the Great Food Giveaway news appearance this month. Well, part of that is because that's not me. That's Eric Zaitunian. And we hate that fucker. You know? You want Eric Zane. Amanda says that the new dude on Free Beer and Hot Wings is 24. Oh, okay. All right. And Amanda says that her daughter did not have sex with that guy, but she had sex with the brother of the new guy. Okay, cool. Wycon Rob describes our pals Free Beer and Hot Wings as the next Bob and Tom. She dated his brother Casey, but I know that whole family. Blue State Rob says, was this in between scissoring her teammates during hockey games, Amanda? Non-compete in Michigan is bullshit. They can't really enforce it unless they pay you a signing bonus. Kyle, who is one of the show gays, says, I am the expert here. You definitely were really gay. Yeah, it's just flamboyant and outward. My mannerisms, that's my go-to if I'm on TV. I just turn into one of the gays, and that's okay. Described as a beta bottom. All right. Corey says a show with just Greg and Chris alone would be unbearable. They need other people to add content. Kent describes me on TV as spank bank material. All right. If you say so. That's excellent. Okay. Well, anyway, that ends. The next day arrives. The next day leaves. I spent a little time in this unfinished room figuring out what I was going to do. Did a podcast on Sunday. I had some of the infrastructure set up. I had the Patreon set up because in October earlier, that was when I got suspended for sending Ben home. And so I was able to launch the Patreon at about the same time. And that, I think, within a matter of days, I had 400 plus people that were on it. And that bought me a couple of months. I was able to earn a couple months worth of money to survive while I built up the sponsorship on the free platform. And nothing has changed since. It's been the same damn thing every day now for 5 years. And we will officially celebrate the Fireversary tomorrow. Since then, there's been ups and downs here. I had a down in March of 2019 when Ben threw me under the bus and said that I think he described me as like an abuser or some shit, some crazy shit. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he threw me under the bus. It was ugly. People got pissed off at me. Made it through that. Ben and I made up. That ended. Then there was the great Zaniac, what do I call it? The great Zaniac Exodus? The great Zaniac something? When a bunch, I think it was like half a dozen people who helped build this studio, they like turned on me and everything went to shit. And it was just the stupidest thing in the world. They had gotten so aggressively, they had become fans so aggressively with coming over to my house and just being fucking weirdos, and I had enough. And it blew up. That was ugly. Thank God that happened, though. It wasn't until that happened, though, that I think the show finally got into a comfortable spot. As soon as we got rid of all those mouth-breathing, teeth rotted out of their head losers. And that I think was a similarity that I think I should have picked up on. The busted out, black, bleeding teeth. When people talk, there's not supposed to be broken teeth with blood oozing out of the teeth. That was a regular thing with those fucking crackheads. Oh, my God. And that was what? How long ago was that? I think like 2 years ago? I don't know. Corey describes them as fat, ugly Dollar Tree shopping losers. Can't mention the Ben reconciliation without mentioning the Troy Finn home meltdown. Oh, yeah, that cock. Troy, when I decided to start, when Ben and I, but first Ben reached out to me, to his credit, and then we were working it out, and then Ben went on, or Troy went on Zaniacs United, and he put a picture of Ben up there, and he called him a snowflake, which was for some reason one of those triggering words for Ben. He hated that, so Troy knew that, and though here I am trying to mend the relationship. And he posts that. And I said, hey, dude, do you mind if you not do that? And he said, yeah, but, you're just going to get screwed again. I was married to a woman who had the same mental disorder that he had. So you're fucked. And so I challenged him on that, and that led to we were both motherfucking each other, and then that was it. That's how that ended. So then he was out, and then later on, fast forward to the great Zaniac Exodus, and all those pieces of shit invited him back. So now he's lumped in with that whole group of idiots. And, every one of those people has a different reason why they hate me. None of them are correct. They're all idiots. I'm glad. I wish them nothing but the worst. Nothing but the worst. I hope nothing positive happens to you for the rest of your days. I hope you turn around negative. Turn around negative. You are all stalking psychopaths and assholes. All right. Kenny says, didn't he say you'll never learn, will you? Yep, that's exact. Thank you for reminding me. All right. Where was I? I got to get to my dad coming up at 9. If you have a question for Dad on Dear Meathead, I have one, two, and two of them are the same. Let's see. I don't have a ton. It's always difficult for me. I don't like writing them myself. It feels cheap when I do that. So I've got Rob V with a question. Kenny and Patrick have pretty much the same question. That's all I got. Sometimes I have to kind of stop down and say, hey, if you could rack your brain, what's going on in your life, and give me a question. Just kind of put him into the scenario. How would he react? What could he give you advice on whatever this is? So just keep that in mind. Eric at ericzaneshow.com. All right. The open and live stream of this show. I'll get to that in a second, actually. Thank you if you're watching the show on Facebook, X, or YouTube. I got to kick you out, though. You can download the full show at twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live or download the Twitch app to enjoy the full show. Audio podcast, wherever you download shows. Patreon podcast, patreon.com/Eric Zane. Sign up for 7 days free. Thank you, thank you, thank you.